Are you an investor or have a retirement account? Then you have to pay attention. The information I'm going to show you today is obscure. It is unknown to most people, but it's very simple once we understand it. Look, that's what I do on this channel. My name is David Quintieri, and I simply take all that financial wizardry and I make it real easy. This video was requested by you, and so I'm bringing you the information you need to know. It's important that we look at FASAB 56. Now, that's not a new droid from Star Wars, okay? It's a statement from the Federal Accounting Standards Advisory Board, or FASAB for short, okay? So what is that? Well, it's all about classified activities. Before your eyes glaze over, let me tell you, okay? This is important, especially for investors. But that means you and your retirement account and so on. What do these companies do behind the scenes? We found out a lot of dirty stuff during the financial crisis. They were doing things that many said, well, that must be illegal, right? And then we found out they weren't really breaking the law in most cases. Well, I'm going to show you something right now that is probably going to shock a lot of people. Well, this, we'll call it 56, was issued back in October 2018, and it allows certain federal entities to modify, listen to this, modify their financial statement presentations and disclosures to prevent the disclosure of classified information. Yes, you heard that right. If a company is doing work of a classified nature, they can change their financial statements to keep that information secret. Do you see what I'm saying here? So now you're looking into a stock, you're looking into a business. Is it legitimate? Are they working with the government? Many companies do, right? Well, it's going to be national security because they can deem anything national security. And now suddenly that information might be just a big question mark. This is a concern for you as an investor. You don't know the level of exposure. You don't know where the funds are going and where they're being spent. But even as a taxpayer, what does that mean for you? Now, I get it. We don't want, a concern about national security. I know people get real worried about this. It's important. But here's the thing. As investors, you need information to make informed decisions. And you need transparency. And we know that today that's real difficult. Well, 56, protecting national security also means that they may not, or you may not get that full picture of a company's financial situation. Think about it. If a company has a large classified federal contract and they're allowed to change how they present their financial information, we can't accurately assess their financial health or stability. It's like trying to navigate a maze, but you're blindfolded. You can't see. And that's terrible, because if you look at, let's just take the example, Warren Buffett. This guy's reading financial statements all day long. That's all he does, okay? And so when you're looking at that, it should tell you some information. Okay, this is stable here. This is where the money is here. And they're writing things down and they're making reasons for why this is a good value. But if you can't really assess that value because there's this big question mark here, well, now that makes a big difference, doesn't it? So what does it mean for you as an investor, your retirement account, your 401k, IRA, RRSPs, all that? It means that you need to be cautious. It means that you need to ask questions. And it means that we need also to consider the implications of 56 when we're looking at companies with federal contracts. And so that's key, because you need to do your actual due diligence, looking on Reddit, looking for what YouTubers are investing in, and paying $1,000 to follow somebody else's recommendations, not good enough. Okay? We have to be able to understand each level of this. For most people, they would say, I can't do that, I'm not interested. And for a lot of people, I think, quite frankly, investing in an index fund is going to actually provide them net better results. For most people, if they're doing paper assets, like if you're not willing to build a business and you really don't want to make good money over a very long period of time, you're just parking money, then you would, maybe some people just want paper assets. And in that case there, you're putting your retirement account there, you're just holding long term and you're willing to just make those few percent, then for most people that ETF is probably going to be better than trying to pick stocks. There's too much to understand. One book that really outlines this in depth is by Frank Partnoy, and it's called Infectious Greed. If you want to know about that book, it explains everything from the 80s into the 90s and beyond. This book it's one of my favorite books I've ever read on the financial industry. And every person I've recommended it to has said, this is fantastic. If you were one of those people who read it because of my recommendation, put that below, okay? I want to pin your comment to the top. It is also in the description under my favorite books. I talk about it a little bit more, okay? So I think it's important to follow the money, to watch where this is all going. This is just one little aspect. You probably remember that movie War Dogs, if you've seen it, with Jonah Hill, and it's based on a true story. Basically talking about all of those government contracts. They started to do some wild and crazy things. And in this case here, this real true story of how these were two guys who didn't know what the heck they were doing. They figured out a way to get those government contracts. And it just makes me think. And I put all these things together, and whether you're an investor or not, you're going to have to understand this. I think that knowledge is something that everybody could benefit from. Let me know what you think on this, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.